like, shit. That was my first reaction. I was like, God damn it.
Hey everyone, welcome to the channel. My name is Belgian Jasper. If this is your first time in the channel, hit subscribe right now. This is album number 10. When a band has a 10th album, you start to think about things like legacy and history and all that kind of good stuff. So, so how old do you feel right now?
You know, it is interesting. I mean, I guess it depends. It could be album number 10. I count it as album number 8, but I definitely understand how you're counting it as 10. And I think we're both right. It is weird. I have noticed, like, throughout the interviews that I've been doing for this record so far, it has kind of started focusing on, like, the idea that we're some sort of, like, legacy act or whatever, which is fucking weird. You know, we actually acknowledge that on this record. I do feel quite old, and that's actually how that came about. A buddy of mine, you know, we'll just text each other sometimes, like, "Oh, you're old. Oh, you're fucking old." And he was like, "Yeah, dude. You know, Exhumed played their first show in October of 1991, and you know, this was last year." He's like, "That was 30 years ago." I'm like, shit. That was my first reaction. I was like, God damn it. And I was like, how do we kind of acknowledge that? And the obvious way was like, oh, we could re-record some old songs. We could do this and that. And, you know, that's something that we've done before, and it's something that bands do all the time. So we thought it might be a little bit more interesting to get some of our former members to write songs for this album. And, you know, so it's still, we're still moving forward, but we're acknowledging the past. And we're also kind of getting people who were important in forming what Exhumed is to, like, give a comment on where we are now via, you know, via their songs. So, yeah, I feel fucking old is the short answer.
This kind of feels like a best of album or a greatest hits album, but it's all new songs. That also means that, you know, this is a different album from the last one. So, quite different even. You also say, okay, this is kind of like a good overview of who we are, where we come from, but where we are today as a band. Does that mean that when you're already thinking ahead, is the album really a representation of where you are, where you want to go? Does that mean a bit of a change in direction compared to the, you know, last few albums?
I mean, we try to change our direction every album as much as we feel comfortable with. Right. You know, it's a weird thing to balance, because when I was a kid, you know, even records that I now love, like, they really pissed me off when I was like 15 or 16. Right. I remember getting, you know, I went to a party and some kid was like, "Oh, you want to hear the new Death album?" And he handed me the Human tape, and I was like, "This doesn't even have fucking dripping blood on the logo. It's bullshit." I was like, I didn't even want to listen to it, you know? Right. So on one hand, I think it's really important to sort of, you know, stay true to what the band is. And especially, you know, in the early 90s, you know, there had just been Cold Lake, the Black Album, and, you know, there was all these sort of dramatic departures that felt, you know, really like betrayals to a teenager. So I never wanted to do anything like that. But, you know, now after having made several albums, let's just agree it's several, you know, you really want to try and find something different to say each one, so you're not just fucking regurgitating the same shit over and over. You know, I want to stay true to who we are and what we do, but I want to, you know, I want to give people a reason to want to hear the next album, and I want to give myself a reason to want to fucking write it. So, you know, because of the lead time with the pandemic being so elongated, you know, this record, we started in April of 2021. So I mean, we started recording it. So all the material now to me is quite old. You know, we already sort of have a direction in mind for the next album that I think is going to be different, but it's still going to be Exhumed. You know, there's still going to be songs about, you know, dead bodies and fucking blast beats and 2 vocalists or 3 vocalists or more. But you know, that's how we keep ourselves interested. You know, just like the people, you know, hopefully buying the records or at least listening to them. You know?
You want to keep evolving. There were more people involved this time than before. You know, it's sometimes easy with a band like Exhumed to kind of say like, well, as long as Matt and Russ are there, it's Exhumed, with all the respect in the world for everybody else that's involved. But a record like this, where so many people contribute, maybe completely contradicts that. Was working with many more people this time around, were there things that you kind of, I don't know, maybe rediscovered or just flat out discovered about your own process or how you've grown over the years, just by doing it differently this time? Was there like this aha moment or an oh shit moment?
It was more of a gradual kind of realization, but you know, I realized that I'm not that great of a guitar player. For a death metal singer, I guess I'm fine. I get to scream for a long time. I guess that's good. What I really like is I like writing songs, and one of the things that working on this record really impressed upon me is that I like writing songs with other people. Like, it's really fucking fun. And you know, some of the songs that the guys brought to the table, you know, there was a fair amount of reworking. Other songs that was just basically like, okay, well, just let's play this 8 times instead of 4. Done. So, you know, I kind of, you know, the perception is that it's my band or whatever. So I kind of just was like, I'll be the editor-in-chief kind of guy. Just bring me what you've got, and let's just polish it and whip it into shape so that it fits, you know, so it's as exhumed as possible, and so it's as good as possible. When I was a kid, you know, if one of the members of the band didn't like something I came up with, I would get really pissed off. I'd take it super personally. I get really angry. And now, you know, I'm not so precious about things, and I work with people that I really trust and respect. I'm like, give me feedback. Like, be brutally honest. Like, is this shitty? Just fucking tell me. And, you know, because I think whenever it's a very true sort of cliche, you know, that artists are vacillate between extreme self-confidence and like total insecurity. And I certainly do. I'm like, this is the best riff in the fucking world. And I'm like, no, wait, maybe this is garbage. Oh, no, I hate it. No, fuck. You know, having people that I work with that I trust is just so fucking valuable, because they can tell me if I'm being neurotic or what, you know, because sometimes it just does suck, and that's fine too.
Now, working like in this process, that also means that songs, you know, shape and transform throughout the writing process, and the difference between a first demo and a recorded product is going to be pretty substantial, especially if more cooks are in the kitchen. When I was listening to the album, I think Rank and Defiled, as well as Disgusted, so far, like my favorite songs on the album. Is there a particular song for you that stands out that kind of surprised you by the time it was done?
I think, you know, obviously I'm deeply biased, but I like all of the songs, and I think that they're all sort of have their own merits. I think the song that I personally enjoyed the most was Necrotica, because Mike Beams, our old guitar player who played on the first 3 records, wrote that song.
Gotcha.
And, you know, I've always loved Mike as a collaborator and as a person. And I've always admired his playing. And it was just kind of really, and that song actually took a lot of arrangement. He sent me like 100 ideas, and I was like, dude, I only need like 5 riffs. So that one, you know, it just was really cool to work with him again. And, you know, even recording and playing it, I was like, man, I miss playing this guy's riffs. Like, I love this dude. And, you know, he does a lot of writing for the band Mortuous. They just had their new album come out. And I think he actually wrote the whole fucking album. And I love that album. You know, it's heavy, it's brutal, it's dark, it's killer, whatever, but it's a little bit different for me because it's just like, you know, it's like a old friend came over to my house to like have a couple beers every time I put the record on. I do think Rank and Defiled is a really strong one as well. That one is, Ross came to me with that one, and, you know, I had fun kind of sharpening up some of the riffs and stuff, but, you know, he built it as a song, and the framework he put in place was just perfect. And then we just sort of tweaked things here and there, and that was definitely both of those songs are definitely gonna be in the live set. You know? Yeah.
So let's talk about that live set, because not only do you guys have a lot of material, and you're a year away from the 25th anniversary for gore metal, so people come to your shows with a long list of requests, if you will. You have to put in some new songs now as well. At the same time, everybody in the band, and you're no exception, are part of so many different things and so many different projects and bands. So what's harder for you, you know, balancing all those calendars to actually get a tour on the road, or then once that tour is planned, figuring out what is the set list?
It is a real, I mean, both of those things are real challenges, you know. And one of the things that's cool about, you know, doing the album, you know, having a label that's not in a hurry to crank out the album and put it out, is that, you know, we sort of talked about it well in advance. Like, hey, can everybody kind of block out this time? And as far as the set list, that one's a fucking challenge, man. Because we don't live in the same area, so we don't like rehearse week after week, and, you know, and because a lot of the records have various lineups on them, you know, it's not like everybody has at least known the song or recorded the song, you know. And so when we're doing stuff from different eras, it's kind of a hodgepodge. And, you know, we tried really hard with this new set for the fall tour there's stuff in the new album, obviously, and there's stuff in the last album because we barely toured for that.
Right.
Because of the pandemic. And then we tried to mix up some of the old songs so it's not just, you know, the same kind of hits or whatever the fuck you want to call them we've been playing, you know?
One other thing that you guys had some fun with was obviously the music video that you guys did for, was it Drained of Color, I think?
Yeah.
You know, there's a lot of material in your catalog to make a longer, not just one music video, but like a proper movie based on Exhumed stories. Like, is that something that you would ever want to do?
You know, it's actually really funny that you asked this question, because one of the things that we've been talking about, you know, for the next record is that because YouTube now is like, I think it's the biggest music streaming platform in the world. I think it's still bigger than Spotify.
Right.
And obviously we've, you know, had a pretty strong visual aesthetic throughout the band's history. You know, I didn't say good, I said strong. And, you know, both Ross and I are, you know, we are readers, we both write to some extent. And, you know, we did a concept album a few years ago, and, you know, this is really, really early days, because, you know, we won't even need to like start thinking about a new album until late next year.
Right.
But, you know, one of the things that I brought up is, you know, maybe for the next record, every song should have some sort of visual component. And I don't know if it's, you know, making an hour-long movie. We would not be acting in that, because as you know, cleverly deduced, we are not actors. And I think, you know, that was part of the thing with the video that we did. It's like we knew the limitations of our budget as far as production, and we were going for, you know, kind of silent film, Universal monsters.
Yeah.
Ham-fisted overacting. And so we, you know, we try to turn into the Skid, and, you know, the audience knows that we're not good actors, and we know we're not good actors, but we're having fun, and everybody's getting killed and throwing up, and you know, that's great. That's why you're there. But yeah, I think that absolutely is an area that we'd like to really explore, you know.
Before we get to that point, we'll you know, enjoy ourselves with all the shows you guys are going to put on for this album release, and then probably some celebrations for certain milestones as well. Right. Matt, you got, just to bring us back to how old you feel, you have to go celebrate and, you know, keep those fans happy. But Matt, thank you so much for your time today. I appreciate you being flexible and taking this call while you're on the road.
Hey, my pleasure, man. Thank you for caring about the record. I appreciate it.
There you go. My pleasure. Have a fantastic release cycle, and I hope to catch you guys on the stage real soon. Drive safe, and thanks again for your time.
Right on. Cheers, man. Thanks, bud.
You are awesome for watching this video. Click right here to see more content like it, and subscribe to the channel.